I never understood, what does it mean when people say, I'm a good person? I'm a good person. What exactly do you mean by a good person? You decide you're going to do something, you decide you want to do something, and you go ahead and you do it. Is that good? Or is that strong? Or is that realistic, responsible? What does good mean? And how good can a person be? If there's no struggle, then we almost don't even know what good looks like. So there's got to be a struggle. There's good and there's bad. Can a person be purely good? If he's not purely good, is he still good at all? If you're a little bad, does that ruin the whole thing? How can a person be good, and what do we mean, good person?
What is a good person? What does that mean?
First of all, you can't be good in the abstract. There's no such thing. I am good, I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Good has to involve somebody else. Good to someone. Otherwise, you're not talking about goodness at all.
You can't be good to yourself?
No.
You can't be good on an island?
No.
Robinson Crusoe?
Robinson Crusoe was very capable. He was gifted, he was talented, he was resourceful. Good? No. So the only way the concept of good and bad, by the way, can exist is if there are two people. You've got to have that interplay. Because without that, there isn't. So good must mean good for something.
What about
outside yourself?
We make a classical division between commandments that are between us and our fellow man and those that are between us and our maker.
Right.
So do those count? Does our maker count as another in
Yes.
those situations? Oh, okay.
Yes. So there has to be an outside objective that has some kind of an objective goal. Anything that promotes that goal is good. Anything that defeats that goal is bad. But a person living alone on an island without a God,
Without a God.
on a godless
island.
on a
that's
God-forsaken island, then there's no good or bad. There's no good or bad. So goodness in a human being means his ability to respond to something beyond himself.
Those are two different types of things, though, also. Or actually, are they? A purpose is not necessarily directed towards a person. If I have a purpose, if my life is purposeful, I don't need something, either a real person, a human flesh and blood person, or even a divine person to be on the receiving end of that purpose. So these commandments that I do between myself and my maker, are they more like purpose? Or is it also a matter of relating to a personality out there?
Well, if you really want to talk about purpose in the literal sense of the word, purpose also implies a second being.
How so? Why can't it be just a task? My purpose is to build this table, and that's it.
But then you're not using purpose in its literal sense. Purpose means the reason for which you are in existence. Your purpose. The purpose always has to precede the act. You don't first build a machine and then wonder what its purpose is.
That's true.
So the purpose
But why
has
is
to
a person on the other end of that?
Well, a mind, okay?
Oh, a mind? Okay.
There's got to be a mind, a thought, that has a purpose, that brings you into existence for that purpose.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
So if you say, well, no, I don't think there's a creator who created me for any purpose, but my purpose for today, you're not using the word literally. It's not your purpose for today, it's your desire, it's your plan, it's your keeping yourself busy and out of trouble, but that's not a purpose in the real sense of the word.
like a purpose of life, in other words, that type of purpose. I mean, there is a way, we do use the word purpose in this menial sense, but okay, an ultimate purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. There is evil, there's goodness, and there's godliness. These are the three conditions that we live with. Godliness would mean completely altruistic. I've got no sense of self. I am not the subject, ever, at all. That's a prophet. That's a tzaddik. That's a patriarch. You know, that's Moshe on the mountain. Evil means I can't see past myself. I am, and I can't get over it. I need something, and I just can't get past that. And until I get what I need, I can't think of anything else. That's what we mean by evil. We don't mean nefarious, terribly deep, dark.
You mean it's what we call solipsism, right? It's just myself. I see everything. I am the sun, and everything orbits around me. Nothing is of consequence beyond me.
That's what we mean when we say evil.
Right.
We don't mean demons, demonic darkness, and I mean, that's off the chart. You know?
We mean profound loneliness. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, when you wake up to it.
Yeah, when you wake up,
that's
right. That's right.
But that opaqueness, you know, I can't see past myself.
Right.
That is the opposite of godliness. So we call it unholy.
Right, the polar opposite.
The polar opposite.
Yeah.
So what Kabbalah terms the other side, you know, the other side. It simply means if it's not God, then it's you. That's the other side. Goodness would mean.
That's what it is, by the way, in Star Trek, isn't it? I mean, Star Wars, sorry, not Star. The other side, the dark side, they call it, right?
Side.
Darth Vader is a totally centered around himself, right? He is the only thing that matters.
Yes, and that is evil.
Yeah.
Now, what form that's going to take, whether you're going to become a dictator and torture people, whether you're going to become a selfish husband or wife and not respond to somebody else's needs, those are just different forms of the same thing. And you have bigger slices and smaller slices of that. But goodness would mean I perceive you and your needs as real as my own. That's called goodness. I can't take away what belongs to you, not because I'm being moral, but because I'm being good. Why should you not have it? Why do I deserve it more than you? I don't.
But just as a theoretical question, by that logic, would godliness be that you deserve more than me? Is goodness recognizing both of us? Like bad, evil is just myself. Goodness is the two of us, and a tzaddik would only see the other.
Yeah, but the godly would take you into a different realm also. It's not just this is. See, goodness could be natural. You're just born that way. There are people who have a soft heart. They can't see another person suffer. They can't put themselves before. They got to push in line and get in front of somebody else, or remain seating when an older woman needs a chair. They just can't see it. It has nothing to do with godliness, with God, with Creator, with Bible, with commandments, Mount Sinai. It's just the way I am. And that's why it's not godly. It doesn't have a godly objective. It's just a sensitivity that I have. It doesn't take me to heaven. It just makes me a good neighbor. But that's what goodness means. I can see your need as clearly as mine. I can feel your pain as, well, almost, almost as much as mine. That's called goodness. So goodness is a sort of a transparency that is not completely transparent, kind of, what do we call it, translucent. I can't put myself completely aside, but I can't ignore you either. That's what we call goodness. Now, how good can you be?
Right. Is there
by nature.
Is there a limit?
By
to
nature,
that, yeah.
not with religion.
Right.
It's not like you're willing to die for a cause.
Right. You mean how, like an average human being?
Within
good-
the realm of human nature.
Right.
We can transcend our nature and be really holy.
When you ask how good, the limit case being that I see you as perfectly equal to myself. That would be
If not more.
If not more. Okay. Well, that seems
Not more.
to that seems to go into the realm of what you call godliness, no? Being a more of
It's a very nice story. This man asked a friend of his to write to the Rebbe because his wife wasn't feeling well. In the meantime, the Rebbe was not feeling well, and he had heard about it. So he called his friend and he said, "Did you write? Did we get an answer from the Rebbe?" And he said, "Yes, the Rebbe said that he would pray for your wife." And the man said, I mean, my wife is important to me, but the Rebbe is important for everybody. How is the Rebbe feeling? Right? A while later, this man was visiting with the Rebbe, and he told the Rebbe this man's statement, my wife is important to me, but the Rebbe is important to everybody. How's the Rebbe feeling? And the Rebbe became very serious, and the Rebbe said, "That's very nice, but tell him never to speak like that again. God has enough life for me and for his wife, and she should live and be well." So it's not a question of, who's more important.
Right.
God doesn't have to make that kind of selection, triage. He can make everybody healthy. But here the guy was saying, I'm important and my wife is important, but there are more important things in the world. And that's not being holy. That was just his nature.
Right.
So of course we can actually recognize another person as being more important, another person's need being more urgent, more serious than our own.
Is that the answer to how good a person can be? That's the ultimate.
Yeah.
So what? Okay. So then
Now,
what?
let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Your petty problem is much more important than my serious problem. And that's what marriage means. That's what marriage means.
That's true.
A husband and wife can't work on any other principle. Oh, wait a minute. Whose problem is more important right now, mine or yours?
Right.
That's it. That's not a marriage. Your petty problem takes precedent over my serious problem, even if it is serious. Of course, I always think it is.
What perspective is that from? It's very interesting because you would think that when you leave your solipsistic self, you're, as it were, hovering above yourself and now the other and saying, well, let's take both of us into account. There's an economy here. I have to watch myself and I have to watch the other. But what you're saying seems to go beyond even that perspective. It's not that I have an objective perspective on myself as an element in an equation.
It's usually not that way. It's usually, where do you fit into my life? I'll make a little room for you, but don't take up too much. Don't make too many waves. I'm letting you into my life. Don't ruin it.
But you could also say, where do you fit into this household? After all, we're both, to my wife, I could say, well, we're both equally important in this household. And I'm trying to see things from the standpoint of the household, right? Not from my perspective.
That's
right?
a very business-like approach.
Yeah.
It's not a marriage. Like, what will work for this family?
Right.
That's not romantic at all. The other is, I'm here for you. Now, do you really mean that? That is what's supposed to be. Do you really mean that? You're here for me? That's what marriage means. The wife thinks, I'm going to make him a home. And the husband thinks, I'm going to give her a home. It's not about you anymore. Not even halfway. You're there to do. The other is there to get, to receive, to benefit.